Welcome to a brief history conspiracy. This week, doing something a little different, and I'm talking to my new mate from the Stranger Times YouTube channel. We didn't have a topic, we didn't have a script, we just decided to go out there and see where the conversation took us, and it took us everywhere. So, please, like, subscribe, hit that little bell notification so you can see all my new channels come up, and wander over to Stranger Times. Do the same. Why not subscribe to both channels and stick two fingers up to YouTube, who refuse to support channels like ours?
I just did a Bob Lazar video, and one of the comments was, "Oh, that bloody idiot!" Something like that. Bloody idiot just saw an inflatable mock-up, and he fell for it, and you fell for it too. But he was like really angry, and like absolutely certain that's what it was. So I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry, mate. Unless you inflated it yourself and was sat behind it giggling, going, "Hee, he'll fall for this," as he's pumping it up. You don't know that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
At
it's
least
like
go on.
no, yeah, just like for instance, some of my family members are quite scientific and only believe anything that's proven scientifically or peer reviewed.
Yeah.
And like just saying things like element 115 that we were able to how do I say it? We knew that we were going to find it anyway, even if Bob Lazar hadn't said about it back in the 80s, we would have found it anyway. Say that everything else that he encountered and everything else that he's talked about has come true, and it's just like, no, just open your mind up just a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
Research. Research.
I get idiots going on about the 115, don't I? And a lot of it is they can't seem to understand that. Okay, yes, he might just. I think I said in my video, he might just be a lucky liar. But we've had to make that element. We haven't been able to create it. We've had to make it. But it's 115 based on the amount of electrons, isn't it? I think. But then they're saying, well, we created it and it lasted 2 microseconds and it's no use at all. And I'm like, yeah, but that's like cavemen finding oil bubbling out of the ground and not knowing what to do with it, because they don't know how to refine it. They haven't got an engine to stick it in. You know what I mean? So it's like we're like babies playing with it.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know what 115 could be capable of. At all. The only question I've got with Bob is, how did he know it was element 115? That's what it was, because as far as I know, every time they tried to mess with it, or the one time they tried to mess with it, he reckons it might have blown up.
Could have been something as simple as written down on a report or something like that. You know,
that's probably my science ignorance, though. Maybe it's very easy to find these things.
It could be. But
my physics knowledge is like, I read the headline and that's interesting.
That's it.
Move on. Unfortunately, sometimes
a lot of the scientific people don't believe Bob Lazar and think that he's talking bull crap, and that he wasn't even a scientist. But you got the people that he went to university with, saying, I went to university with him at Caltech and at other places and stuff. He's in the phone book, and
that's a big one. Los Alamos keeps saying, never heard of him. He's in your phone book. Oh, him. It's like,
and he knows what he's talking about. At the end of the day, and he's always stuck by his story. He's never once deviated from his story. I doubt he's made any money out of this.
No, so I think he has done, but everyone goes on about he's not made money.
But not a lot, I wouldn't say.
No, I mean he wrote a book, and he's done a couple of done a couple of documentaries and things, hasn't he? But I think what we should say, instead of saying he's never profited, because I think he has done, he's not profited anything like as much as he could have done. I mean, he could have been on the all those junkets they do and stuff, and conventions they have at Vegas, and he's never done that ever. So he could have made much more, but to say he's never made money, that gets thrown about a lot, and I'm like, oh, it's not quite true.
True.
if he had no scientific background or engineering background, because he actually says he's an electrical engineer, wasn't he? Electrical engineer and physics. He says he did, didn't he? He built a jet car, and I remember saying to my mate that you can't build a jet car. And he went, yeah, I probably could. Because no, you couldn't. I'm sorry, you couldn't. You try and blow your face off.
Yeah.
You can't build a jet car. Don't talk shit. Because I think if I put my... No, you can't. Shut up.
Yeah, no. You know, there might be a video on it on YouTube. But,
yeah. How to build a jet car? No.
Yeah, no, that's that is sort of top level stuff, really, isn't it? To put a jet engine in the back of a small Nissan.
Yeah, exactly. And drive around in it.
Yeah.
I mean, the little ones he puts on the back of bikes, maybe you could do that. Maybe if you were really careful.
Yeah.
But not a full blown jet engine. No.
Yeah. I know people that an engine on a bike, on a push bike like that. But yeah, not for unless you're extremely clever, have a lot in engineering. Then yeah,
it's the engineering knowledge that you need, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to know what you're doing. I mean, I can roughly describe the theory of how a jet engine works, but I couldn't tell you how to build one.
No.
It's I know how my car works. If it breaks down, I ain't fixing it. I have no idea. I'll look at the bonnet and go, a lot.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I just think he's one of the most interesting. He is a character, and I think that's why they didn't kill him, because he's a character, and they were absolutely certain they could dismiss him. But and it's easy to ridicule somebody it is to like kill him, I think. But now they can't, because he'd be a martyr now, wouldn't he? But
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it would cause a lot of trouble.
Yeah. If ever a man has a heart attack, I hope he looks after himself, because has a heart attack, the UFO community will go crazy, and they'll be convinced they killed him.
Yeah, we would. Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to ask you that, since you're doing your YouTube channel, what's your sort of take on the state of the UFO community at the moment?
I mean, since the Pentagon released them UFO Tic Tac videos, it's all gone a little bit sort of haywire. I mean, that in itself, if they'd have done it properly, because they just sort of blurted it out there, didn't they? Said, yeah, Pentagon says that these Tic Tac UFO footage is real.
Yeah.
But real as in, is it ET or is it just a UFO? And basically they're saying, yep, it's a UFO. We don't know where they come from. You know, and yet you've got all these pilots as well. I can't remember the pilot's name.
Favor is the one that was on Joe Rogan, and then I can't remember the other guy's name. The Speedster video's name. Mentioned him on my last video. Go back and watch my last video. I've mentioned it now.
But you know what I mean? They're the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know, possibly the best in the world pilots, and you know, they're trained to see things. You know, especially at speed and stuff like that, and they're 100% convinced what they saw is what they saw was, you know, a tap-shaped, you know, UFO. It went from, I can't think what it was now, 65,000 feet or something, down to about a foot off.
They reckon it come in at 80,000 feet, don't they? And they've said, but that's actually the roof of the radar.
Yeah.
That's how high we can see, sort of thing. And they just drop in.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a blink of an eye and it's hovering over the sea. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
What was the one sat there for like 18 hours or something as well, which is like, we can't do.
Bloody hell. Yeah.
I'm looking at doing a video on TR3B next, and so I'm doing a load of research on what's like what we're capable of doing at the moment. Yeah. And probably the most advanced drone we've got is the Global Master or something like that. It's only got a range of about 16 hours or something like that. That's the best it can do.
Yeah,
we've got like new that they call pseudo satellites, which like go very, very high, and they're solar powered, and they just sit really, really high, like on this in the stratosphere sort of thing. And they can go up there for days. They can go up there for like 25, 26 days.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah.
But they're only just being developed now. And I was thinking about is from a TR3B point of view anyway, that they'd be no good as like to spy on China and places, just shoot them down. Yeah. But if you've got a drone that's got completely antimatter, anti-grav technology, then yeah, that'd be pretty good. And I could see as well if they built something that was like an anti-grav drone, they might test it and sort of like, let's see if our pilots can chase it, sort of thing.
Yeah, of course it would. Yeah, straight out of Area 51.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Well, go up into space and then just drop out where you want it to, sort of thing.
That's it. Shown in the X-Files, stuff like that as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I honestly think those Tic Tac videos came out, and loads of stuff since then. I mean, you got New York Times UFO, you get loads of, and that New York Times is a serious newspaper, a proper newspaper.
Yeah.
And they're openly talking about UFOs and aliens, and that, I mean, and nobody in like the real world blinked.
No, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It really is.
I know we had COVID to.
I know that's another strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, we had COVID to worry about, but yeah, I remember saying to my mum and dad about it, and they didn't know what I was talking about. And I got a mate who's not into this sort of thing, and I was like, and he said something about UFOs, and I went, well, that Tic Tac video is proof, and he didn't know what I was on about. So I was like, well, have a look at this. And he's like, yeah, it'll just be CGI. Because no, mate, it's not. The Pentagon have actually said it's not. This is the one video that we've got we know isn't fake.
Yeah.
And and he was like, oh, that's interesting. That's not interesting. It's bloody UFOs.
That's it. But again, it comes down as well to Tom DeLonge from Blink 182. And Academy to the Stars that he started. What was it, 2017, 16, I think.
Yeah.
But again, like, why Tom? Why?
And he's talked to generals and things as well, which when he first said that, we thought, that's bullshit. And then it turns out, oh, no, it's true.
Yeah, because of people that he's got working for him in his company.
Yeah.
But also...
That's related to Bigelow as well, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who used to work at Skinwalker Ranch and things are now part of the Academy to the Stars.
Yeah, indeed. It's but what I don't get is that when he says that he went to the government and said, right, I've pieced everything together, and I know that you guys can't, you haven't got the platform to leak it out there to people, to put it into movies or into books or into comics. He said, but I can. And it's like, well, it's the US government. I'm sure that they could make a film or a book, about these things a lot better than what you could. So why? I don't understand his actual part. He says,
I think some people would say that the government have been influencing media, movies and things for years and years.
They have, yeah.
Films. I always think, look at like just like The Day After Tomorrow, 2 years after Roswell, and The Day After Tomorrow with that UFO.
Yeah.
I'm like, and the story of that thing as well is like, you're ruining the planet, and we're here to try to stop you, and we're here to, to like, you just think that there's a real massive moral behind that, and then most people just watching go, oh, big robot destroying everything, and I'm watching it going, what are they trying to tell us with this movie?
Yeah.
And that flying saucer, I'm sorry, is straight out of Bob Lazar's playbook in that movie.
It is, yeah, very much so. Yeah,
crazy.
It's fascinating. Definitely.
I don't know what to make of Tom DeLonge though, because I watched him on the Joe Rogan interview, and he didn't come across 100% sane, I'll admit. Some of the stuff he come out with is going to be, okay, you're going to be out there now. But the government seemed to have privatized the UFO phenomenon in the last few years, and this Bigelow fella, and Bigelow's really linked into to a point where if you see a UFO and you're a commercial pilot, you report it to Bigelow Aerospace.
Yeah.
How is that a thing?
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? It really is. It really is.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that all started out for him in Skinwalker Ranch, didn't it? But again, I mean, like Tom DeLonge says that he's pieced everything together from all the research and books and films and things that he's read throughout the years. And he says, especially on the Joe Rogan podcast, he mentions everything down to the Greek gods as well and beyond. And to me, the research that I've done over the years, that indicates that if he's pieced everything together, then it can only be that everything from all the ancient texts, all the ancient tribes and civilizations, and you know, worshipping the gods coming down from the stars, or you know, the Chinese dragons and serpents and stuff like that coming down and hitting the ground, and the ground trembles and there's lots of smoke and things like that. And it's the same case with, you know, the fiery dragons, you know, the chariots coming down, all that sort of. And it all, in my mind, when he says that he's pieced it all together, it makes sense that all that sort of stuff is true and it's all played out. Do you know what I mean? And so all the UFOs, all the ghosts, all the aliens, all the Bigfoot, every paranormal event that's happened can be put back to, you know, all the way back to the Anunnaki, all the way back to the Anunnaki, and you know, even the Dropa, with like the Dropa stones and things like that. Is that what he's trying to tell us? I don't know. Possibly. It makes sense from that that sort of perspective.
And I think it would. I wouldn't go as far as saying that all these ancient stories and things like are true, but I would say that they're influenced by something. So I was thinking about Atlantis, right? For me, anybody that says Atlantis didn't exist is just like, well, in the 50s you thought Troy didn't exist, you thought that was a myth, and then we found it. And then, okay, maybe some of the stories are exaggerated over the years, that, you know, the 1,000 ships, but we even know now that the you know, the Greeks did do the horsey thing, and, you know, they actually did trick them into opening the gates. So we know that a lot of the stories. So for me, I think a lot of it would be, you've got the myth sort of thing on one side, and you've got what historians say on the other side, and the truth is generally somewhere here, sort of thing. It's going to have been. There aren't going to be these stories that have just come from nowhere. It's either going to be something to do with our psychology, which I think some of these stories do come from. I always think about like vampires and things. There must be something into that, because it's an ancient story. It wasn't just invented by Bram Stoker. But that bleeds into a lot of our psychology and our natural fears as well. You know, something be able to come into the night and feed off us. So I think there's a bit of that. And also there will be something in history that has inspired that, you know.
Of course.
And you mentioned ghosts. I don't really believe in ghosts, but I am a psychologist. I have a psychology degree and everything. And I can understand that. And I saw I used to believe in ghosts.
But
then I saw this guy did a study, and he did this you know, like a magnetic chamber thing. And he put people in, and he went, right, now by affecting the magnetic field, I can make them think different things. So I can make them think that there's somebody in there with them, or they're being watched, and this sort of thing. And everybody came out of the chamber going, oh god, I felt like there was somebody in there. It was weird. And then a lot of these ghost places are like limes. There's a lot of limestone things which affects the magnetic field, and I'm like, you ruined ghost stories for me, you bastard. But then I've got my auntie who's telling me, and I saw the dog do it. It did freak me out. She was convinced there's a poltergeist in the house, and the dog was at the bottom of the stairs looking up, barking like crazy. It sort of cowered in the corner for a second, then shot up the stairs, turned around and looked down the stairs, and was barking like crazy. Something was going on there, and I was watching that going, oh, okay, ghost stories are back in.
That's it.
That scared the crap out of me.
You know? The ghost thing. I mean, I sort of got into all the ghost and sort of paranormal scene because when I was little, basically every house that we lived in, we'd have some sort of ghostly or paranormal, even poltergeist activity. And I remember seeing my first ghost. And it was a really old house, really tall building, and we saw somebody walk past the kitchen window at the back, and you couldn't get round the back. You had to go through the house to get to the back. And we thought it was my auntie's friend that was having a cigarette in the garden, but there was nobody there. Her friend hadn't turned up at the time, like blonde woman, just walked past the window, and it's like, oh, we went round the back to say hello, and nobody there. It's like, oh my God. And my mum's like, yeah, it's not the first time I've seen that. And my auntie's like, yeah, it's
that's okay.
It happened.
The ghost.
Yeah. And then one of the worst places that was affected was when we lived in Doncaster. And the house was about 5 years old, so it was quite a new house. Seeing like hooded monks to dark shadowy figures, voices. So
that's the thing, because I say one hand I don't believe in ghosts, and then on the other hand I'm like, I'm wise enough to know, one, I don't know everything. And I've never witnessed anything, so that's easy for me to sort of say. But it's one of those things that I can say I don't believe it, but I believe you. And do you know what I mean? And I'm more than willing to say. I think, like we said in one of my videos once, so we were talking about quantum mechanics and stuff, random. And we were talking about quantum entanglement. This thing how you can shoot two photons at the same time and they're not connected, but they did an experiment where they shot the one side through like a cookie cutter shaped thing, like a cat, and then they shot the other ones through not connected, and they made the shape of a cat. All right, Schrodinger's cat sort of thing. So those two protons, even though they're completely separated, still communicating to each other somehow. As far as I'm concerned, that's witchcraft. So I'm thinking, well, if that's true and that's a scientific fact, who am I to then say ghosts aren't real?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that is so bizarre. That is so like, if you went back 30 years and it said that this is true, these protons are talk to each other, you'd go, you're mentally, there's something wrong with your head. And now it's a proven fact.
That's it.
And energy can't die at the end of the day. So energy only changes. So who might say there's not a somebody's talking to me about telepathy. And my instinct was it's not true. It's just not. And then the more I sort of look at it, because I have that scientific brain, I have that thing I want me to prove it. And then somebody was saying to me, because, well, have you ever been walking in the street and you just know there's someone behind you? And I'm like, well, yeah, no, I've had that sixth sense sort of thing, isn't it? Because, well, that's because you have a magnetic field, and that magnetic field, you do have the ability to, just like pigeons can see magnetic field, you can. We're just not as aware of it. There's some people more aware of it than others, sort of thing. Yeah. So I was like, right. And he said, right, telepathy and things like that is just an extension of that. And I'm like, I can't say you're wrong.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I've not experienced it, but when you're talking about,
that's it.
I can completely believe that we are more in tune with our magnetic field than we realise.
Yeah.
There was a woman said we were doing like a Tai Chi thing, and she was saying just like bring your hands in together, and you get to a certain point, you can just feel the energy. And I'm like, yeah, I can. I was wondering, is it something to do with my blood pressure or something? My when I bring my hands towards and I was trying to figure it out. And then I just thought, you know what, I've got loads of iron in my body. My bones are a metal. Actually, people think they're everything, but they're actually quite magnetic. You know, the thing that when if you got bad phone signal, you put your phone on your head and you get a slightly better signal. Because your body acts like an antenna.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so we might not be able to scientifically sort of rip this apart and prove it, but you can't disprove it.
No. Exactly.
And so that's what annoys me when scientists go, well, this is pseudoscience. It's not pseudoscience. We just haven't found the proof yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Get people on Facebook going, this is fact. And I'm like, no, it isn't.
Yeah. yeah, I know. I've had to take myself off a lot of Facebook groups in the last couple of weeks. It's I thought it would be good and would help the channel and, would open me up to more possible things. But, oh, my God, no.
Some of the trash you have to go through.
Oh, unbelievable. It really is.
But just some of the anger that some people have and will aim it at you. Flat earthers, I have had to give up. I've tried to sort of go, well, no, I can categorically prove the earth isn't flat. And then, well, I can categorically prove it is. No, you can't.
No, you can't. Yeah.
3 days later, I'm still arguing.
Yeah. Well, there's that TV show, wasn't there? I can't remember what it's called, but it's on Amazon Prime. And it's the flat earthers trying to prove
Yes.
that it's and with the lasers, and it's, oh well, it didn't work. Maybe you need to go a bit further back or be a bit higher. It's like, no, because the Earth's not flat.
It did exactly what you said. I like that they spent $25,000 on that electromagnetic gyro. And they said, right, if the Earth is spinning, we'll be able to detect it with this. And then they detected the Earth spinning. They went, I think we need to encase it in lead. It's like, no.
Yeah.
You detected exactly what you said you would detect if the Earth was spinning. The Earth is spinning. Calm down.
That's it.
But some people want to believe they know something somebody else don't they? You know?
Yeah, a lot of people think it's a game, or they I don't know. It's people that say, yeah, this is real. This is what I say is gospel. And don't look at both sides. They're as bad as the people that say it's all fake and it can't happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no. I mean, I was trying to explain to somebody who's a lot more intellectual than what I am. They've been to university, all that sort of stuff. Like a chemist, biologist, physics, all that sort of stuff, and trying to say to them, look, these UFOs, they are here in a sense. The governments are saying, they don't know what they are, and if they were Russian or Chinese or whatever, then surely that superpower would use them to their advantage. But that's not the case, because they're just flying about and doing these fantastic maneuvers and fantastic speeds, and that's it really. They're not trying to blow anything up or trying to take anything in a sense, apart from abductions, but that's a different side to it. And the first response that you get is, why would they come here? They wouldn't have the fuel, or they wouldn't for what reason would they want to come here? It would be pointless. And you say, well, just take out that they don't use fuel how we would think they would use fuel for a start. Do you know what I mean? And just open your mind up just a tiny little bit, because these things are being seen in the sky by thousands of people every year.
Even if 1% is true.
That's it. Yeah. And it's it just boggles my mind why.
I would say the easiest question to answer is, why would they come here? Is this, you got the Fermi paradox, and they were saying that if as a scientist in the 60s, and he said if an intelligent species has even got to our level of technology, you could send a probe out to every star in the universe, and it would take about 1 million years. And they would have. So if there was alien life, we would see evidence because they would do this, right? And that's the Fermi paradox. If they were there, we'd see them. And I'd say, well, aren't we? Surely we are seeing them. I very much doubt little aliens are on these ships. They're going to be probes. They're going to be robots. Greys might be a type of android, as far as we know. But they're almost certainly not going to be manned, because why would you? We're already getting to the point where we don't send people if we don't have to.
Exactly.
So of course, a species at thousands of years. But for me, the easiest question would be, because I think life is probably everywhere. I think intelligent life is probably quite rare. I think we'll probably find life in our solar system. I think we'll go to Titan or something, and we'll step off, and we'll step in something squidgy and go, ugh, and that'll be our first intelligent life, our first life, sorry, because it'll be sort of like a mold or something.
Definitely.
On Earth, everywhere we find life, everywhere we look for life, we find it, don't we? And even in the horrific, volcanoes and things, we find life.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think intelligent life, animals and things like this, even, they might be just as interested in lions and giraffes as us. They might consider us a bit of a blight on the planet, to be honest. Like, look at this planet that's beautiful and amazing, and look at this bloody people concreting over everything.
That's it.
But intelligent life might be really rare. So in that case, if you find it, you would go and be interested. You would go and visit and be interested, and want them to survive, and maybe even try and help us in places. And or maybe they are interested in our genetics, and that's why they keep abducting us. Things.
Could be very much so.
But to say that, like, why would they come here? To me, that's the easiest question in the world to answer.
Yeah.
Unless life is literally on every other planet, which I doubt,
Yeah,
they
no.
would come here.
Yeah. What do you think on the reptilian side of it?
Did a video ages ago on Mars,
Uh-huh.
and did the whole the theory that the reptilians. Oh no, I'm getting this right because it was a while ago now. The reptilians attacked the people on Mars. I want to say Arcadians, but that's not right, is it? Is that Arcadians? And they nuked them.
Mm-hmm.
The people on Mars retaliated and completely destroyed the reptilian world, and that's now the Kuiper Belt. And then the people from Mars came here, and that's now us. They've evolved into us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Beginning to end, no, I don't buy it at all.
Yeah.
No. But the reptilian thing doesn't want to go away, does it?
No. There's a lot of people.
You see these Facebook things where you see the Queen's eyes go that way, and I'm like, that's not true. It's very badly faked, or it's just a bad picture. Calm down.
Yeah. The sea or under the mountains and things. But again, that goes back to ancient times again as well. Yeah. It's a strange old world for sure.
I think there's it does seem to me that as long as man has been able to draw pictures and things, we seem to draw pictures of aliens.
Yeah.
Or flying machines and things. I'm sure we'd be fascinated by birds and stuff, and some of those drawings are just drawn with your finger, and they're probably just not very good drawings. And then we look at it in a modern eye and go, it's a helicopter. And they're saying it probably wasn't supposed to be a helicopter. But it does seem to be that whenever we've drawn or carved or done whatever, we draw things, the chariots, the gods and stuff like this.
Yeah. From
Egyptian times. And we always seem to do that, which makes me think that if they were, that there was something going on.
Yeah, it has to be.
But you imagine people 10,000 years ago, or even a few hundred years ago, with no light pollution. If the UFOs are visiting as often as they do now, they'd see them.
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, we probably don't see as much as we do because of light pollution, because we just can't see lights going through the sky.
Yeah.
I remember being in Colorado a couple of years ago and looking up at the stars, and we were miles from anywhere. And then you just go, oh, that's what light pollution does. Jesus Christ. This is amazing. Ancient people might have been seeing a lot more. And maybe the UFOs weren't hiding from them back then because they were primitive.
That's it. We didn't have anything in the skies at them time to sort of put them off from, maybe from coming down and look. Yeah. Whereas
now we've got weapons, and we probably would attack them. I think we probably have shot down the odd one.
I mean, there's some NASA footage of the STS.
Yes, the tether incident.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's two different ones in there. Are you talking about the battle in space when it's there's the tether incident where you can see the tether going off in the distance, and it's a bright. It's only actually a very thin string, but because it's glowing and they're using a low light camera, you can see it. And then there's objects moving in front of board, and then you've got the space battle one, whereas you can see the objects moving, and then one comes in like that, and then goes, and you can see like a bolt of energy come up through.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
If you ever watch that video again, if you watch the thing, there's another object actually coming across the bottom, and they think that's possibly the object that actually fired something.
Oh right, okay.
So that goes into secret space program stuff that we're doing at the moment on our channel, trying to get there, but we're trying to do it in an order that makes sense, and it's taken forever. But I mean, don't they think it's a rail gun or something, don't they? And I've seen some videos talk about possibly.
Yeah.
I also struggle to explain why NASA keeps turning the cameras off every so often.
I know, yeah. That is a bit bizarre.
Yeah, the ISS. Oh, we've lost connection. Have you? Because It seemed to be there was something going on in the corner just as he lost
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
What was that? It just appeared in the corner.
Yeah, that is interesting. Excuse me. It is. But
yeah,
there is definitely something flying around in our space, in our aerospace, and our skies. 100%. There has to be.
Do you actually think, disclosure? Right, so I was thinking about this morning. Do you think we've had it? I was talking about the government admitting UFOs and having sort of disclosure that we've been so excited about and saying they're just coming.
Possibly, yeah.
I feel like we've had it a little bit.
Yeah. But again, it's just gone over people's heads, isn't it? It's.
I think they're prepping, though. I think they're prepping to go to actually now have a. There's been a load of patents come out about that were recently, only last year, were actually authorized, or sort of like I don't know what the word is for patents, but they were US Navy patents, and one of them was for a vehicle that can travel between air and water with no difference, and it uses basically an anti-grav drive that he also did another energy a high energy device that he patented. It's Summit Pay is the guy's name. And that felt to me like, okay, we've released the videos and this is an object and we don't know what it is. And then we're releasing these patents just sort of like teasing, that, yeah, we do know what it is really. So I felt like they'd almost sort of gone that way and then almost scrambling around. All the people that would normally go, it's an air balloon, we're scrambling around going, we need something else,
Yeah.
We need something that actually makes sense because people aren't as thick as they used to be. Let's have something that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I did feel like maybe that. And doing the TR3B research, I've realised that they built that Globe master drone thing that's supposed to be the most advanced big drone they've got at the moment.
Yeah.
That was designed in 1999.
Yeah.
So what have they been doing for 20 years?
Yeah, that's it.
What's next? What has the Skunk Works been doing for 20 years? Because they haven't released anything.
No.
Since the Globe Master, and that was the big thing with the TR3B. From the building of the SR-71, the Blackbird, to the building of this drone, there's no big like major surveillance vehicle that's been come out of the Skunk Works. So no spy plane that's gone to Skunk Works. So they must have been doing something for 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Americans always need a spy plane. They always do. Something that can fly over China and Russia.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm sure I read somewhere ages ago that the stealth bomber and stealth fighter were being test flown back in the 40s as well.
Really? That is early. I know we had versions.
Yeah,
as flying wings.
Yeah, the Germans
back then.
Yeah, the Germans were experimenting with the Norton flying wing, and others as well. But
we had V bombers, didn't we? The British had V bombers, and they actually didn't realise how stealthy they were at the time.
Yeah,
and it was when they sort of, I don't know if stealth was accidental or if they were trying to copy. I always think they were trying to copy something. I want, like the Avro car. Have you seen that thing?
No, I'm not. No.
Oh, it's Google it. It's the Avro car. It's a Canadian. It's a flying saucer.
Oh right.
But it's got jet engines and things. But they couldn't fly it. It was a pig. But there's an aerodynamics thing that's saying if actually flying saucers are really good because regardless of where the wind comes, aerodynamically it's a perfect shape for a vehicle.
Yeah.
Like planes are designed to go that way. This thing can just like go anywhere you want, and aerodynamically there's no difference sort of thing. But they couldn't fly it. It was a pig to fly. And they got it about 3 foot off the ground. The best pilot in the world could just about get it to go forward. Something that it just wanted to flip and crash and destroy everything.
Yeah, I think I know. Yeah.
But nowadays with computers and new flight systems, they could completely get that to work.
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't. I don't know why somebody isn't trying to Actually, I suppose a lot of drone technology is though that like exactly like that, though, isn't it? Actually.
Yeah, very much so.
Have you seen that flying bike thing? The Abu Dhabi police are testing. It's an electric flying bike. but it's got big blades on it that's like so it's like a
Yes.
drone.
Yeah, I have.
And I was
Yeah,
thinking,
I've seen that,
just wait
yeah.
for the pilot to fall off and just be shredded like lettuce or thing. Like, oh god, that went badly.
Yeah, some of the contraptions are pretty crazy, aren't they? Really.
Yeah.
What
You gotta love the Abu Dhabi police though, where they've got Lamborghinis as police cars.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
I tell you what, this conversation has gone to some different places.
Oh,
We should definitely actually plan a topic next time.
Yeah, yeah.
I only learned about the Anunnaki when doing this channel. I'd never heard of it. I
Really?
don't know how. I've always been interested in this topic.
Mm.
I don't know how that got past me. But then every so often something else will pop up and I go, how the hell didn't I know about that?
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot to it though as well, isn't there? You can sort of go down any avenue of sort of human history, and there's always going to be UFOs or Bigfoots or ghosts, spirits.
Yeah.
And,
You're just going to sift through the bullshit.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
because people do lie.
Yeah,
you know, one of the stories about one of the things with Bob is why would he lie? Because people do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just. I always try to balance everything when I talk about these things. I always try to think it through from both sides. I did a 9/11 series. I made so many people angry because I tried to think about it from both sides.
Yeah.
And talking about thermite and stuff. It was definitely thermite. Was it though? Something. And I made the debunkers really angry, and I made the believers really angry because I basically cherry picked from both sides. Oh, well, I believe that, and I believe that, and that makes sense, and I can back that up with evidence. And yeah, the debunkers have got that bit right, but the truthers have got that bit right, and I pissed off both sides.
Yeah.
Now
I can remember watching because I was living in Doncaster at the time, and the flat that I was renting, one of the spare rooms, my friend was using as like a pack-up centre for his market stall.
Oh, okay.
So we were packing like dog food into little bags and weighing it up and stuff like that.
Right.
And I had a black and white TV at the time, only a small thing. And I can remember it coming on the news and watching it live, and the BBC reporter saying, World Trade Center 7 has gone down as well. And it's like, no, it hasn't. It's right behind you. I can see it
in the background.
Yeah.
I'm in two minds about that though, because I think that could have just as easily been a mistake because the news was charging in as quickly as things. But I also think though that a lot of the news that we see in this country particularly comes from Reuters. Yeah. So some people are saying, well, how many people would have to be in on it if that news they ever just actually goes. I was actually thinking that actually it only takes like one person to make an error there. Yeah. And I mean if it was if they were planning to release it, so if they knew the building was about to come down and they had the press release ready, it would only actually take one or two people to be in on it, sort of thing, to then release that, and then it got released too soon by mistake because it was a fluid situation. But I think it's just as easily it could have just been a mistake.
Yeah,
I think there's other stuff. There's the Building 7 stuff for me was, the NIST report. The big thing I was saying on the NIST report is I think they told you exactly how they did it, because they were talking about there was one pillar, and that's the one big thing with Building 7. They were saying it would take this much demolition equipment and all this, and it just wouldn't happen. They'd know about it. And I said, well, no, the NIST report says that this building collapsed because one pillar went down. So all you'd have to do then in that case is go in with one device on the day. Go in and destroy all the bits and bobs you need to destroy, because there's loads of data and stuff regarding the trillions of dollars that went missing and stuff that they wanted to get rid of. Go in, do that, set the device off, walk out, the building collapses. And then this report told you exactly how they did it. But you're talking about like the memes you keep seeing on Facebook though about the trillions of dollars announced by Donald Rumsfeld on September 10th. It's not true. It was announced about a year before, and they were talking. There was just a press conference on September 10th talking about what he'd been talking about repeatedly. And it's still talked about now. They're still trying to figure out where this bloody money goes. Every so often they'll, about a year later, they went, oh, we figured it out. And then a year after they went, yeah, no, we haven't. We've only figured about half of it. And it all comes down to the Pentagon just not writing stuff down. It seems to be, when I read about it. They just kept spending money and not telling anyone what they spent money on.
Yeah, very much so.
Mate, we did I keep going to call it red flag. Stupid boy. A false flag video first. But I said, right, we're just going to do this. No conspiracy, just historical fact. And we came up with like 5 different false flag operations that the Americans had done since the Civil War, and they're all just mental. But how they caused, it's history that they physically caused the Vietnam War. They wanted to invade. They faked an attack on one of their warships.
Yeah.
It's and then went to war with Vietnam just because they wanted to, and that's not a conspiracy theory. It's history.
Yeah.
And to tell me that they wouldn't fake the 9/11 attack, nah, don't tell me that, because they would. Why would my country do that? Because they've fucking done it before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So if they wanted to carry on and start a war on terror, this is exactly how they do it, and a lot of people have made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So don't tell me they wouldn't.
Yeah, very much so.
I do think the truth has gone a bit farther. You know, that thing with squibs. Sorry, I'm really passionate about this subject.
No, that's fine.
I think about squibs. The building's collapsing, and you see these like bursts of debris coming out 3 or 4 floors below where it's collapsing. And they're saying that's evidence, that's explosives going off, that's the thing. Because no, that is just maybe, but there's an enormous amount of force coming down, an enormous amount of air being pushed down, and incredible forces from a building that was hit by an airplane just a few hours before, shook so hard that doors on the 13th floor couldn't be opened. So the actual shape of the door frame had changed. So that whole building had shook. So it had been weakened in lots of places. And then all that pressure coming down, some of the windows blew out. I don't see that as anything other than common sense sort of thing. But they're going like, oh, it's demolition. And there are ways that the building would have been demolished that you would never know the evidence there, because it's a weird building. There's like a core strength, and then the rest of the building's built around it. You go for the core. You take the core out, that thing goes down like a pack of cards. Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, and there's loads of people in there actually in the core 3 or 4 weeks before and working on the elevators doing fireproofing.
Yeah, there were. Yeah.
So I'm like, there's lots easier ways they could have done it.
Yeah.
I argued that with my mate, with my colleague from my video. I argued with him. No, thermate. Possibly, but there's lots of other ways it could have been done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like... Interesting comments and things since you've been doing yours.
Oh yeah, very much so. A friend of mine, I've known him over 20 years. He's a good lad.
Yeah.
Anything to do with religion or UFOs, aliens, ghosts, he just 100% dismisses straight away. Yeah. I've had some interesting comments on my channel in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. But
my favourite will always be, is and always will be, what the fuck? This isn't Fortnite. Do Fortnite. I just love that comment. It's like, they sat and watched my video and they all the way through thinking, when are they going to talk about Fortnite?